That's where we post choices on our social media and let you decide which story we're going to take a deeper dive into. This week's choices were the Australia mushroom murder trial, Hailey Bieber's billion-dollar beauty deal, and President Trump's potential future pardons. It's a runaway this week. You overwhelmingly chose the so-called mushroom murder trial in Australia. For those of you not familiar with this case, a suburban Australian mom is accused of killing 3 of her husband's relatives by allegedly poisoning them with death cap mushrooms served in a home-cooked beef Wellington. Erin Patterson has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. I want to bring in Dr. Stephanie Widmer, who's an emergency medical physician and a medical toxicologist. So this is right up your alley, Dr. Widmer. On the face of it, how would anyone know the difference between a death cap mushroom, I'm not even sure I could Google that, a death cap mushroom and mushrooms that are safe to eat?
That is just the point. It is nearly impossible, even for many experts, to be able to differentiate a death cap mushroom or an Amanita phalloides mushroom, a very, very toxic mushroom, from mushrooms that are potentially safe and edible. They have many overlapping characteristics. It is very, very difficult to tell the difference, and that really underscores, the danger of foraging for mushrooms and obtaining your own mushrooms out in the wild.
What are the signs of mushroom poisoning, and what do you recommend people do if they think they have it?
So there are all different types of toxic mushrooms out there, but for the death cap or Amanita phalloides specifically, symptoms can start with gastrointestinal symptoms, nausea, vomiting, and they can often be delayed up to 6 to 12 hours after the ingestion of the mushroom. What I would recommend, even if an individual is not experiencing symptoms, if there's any concern that they may have been exposed to a toxic mushroom, it's to seek emergency medical care immediately. Supportive care, there are different medications that can be given, certain monitoring that needs to be done. And if patients get very, very sick, it could end up in liver transplant. The mortality of ingesting a death cap mushroom really varies, but it is very high. There's no arguing that these mushrooms are incredibly dangerous, and the quality of medical care that is received really plays into the patient's outcome.
Doctor, I'm curious, in this case, and we don't have to talk about the legality of this case, but in this case, these victims are alleged to have ingested it through, I guess, beef Wellington. Is there any difference in the toxicity and how your body would react if you ingest it with food or you ingest it raw?
So there's not, and in fact, if you cook it, if you freeze it, it doesn't really matter what you do to the mushroom. The toxin is still there. You can't get rid of the toxin. So often people think that if they forage for mushrooms, if they cook it a certain way, that they can get rid of toxins and it'll be safe to eat. That is not the case. And in fact, it only takes a very, very tiny amount of this toxic mushroom to cause severe harm.
Well, thanks for taking us through the medical aspect of this case. We will be following it for all of our viewers in the coming weeks and months. Dr. Widmer, thanks so much.